أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بأصحاب الفيل ألم يجعل كيدهم في تضليل وأرسل عليهم طيرا أبابيل ترميهم بحجارة من سجيل فجعلهم كعصف مأكول. Alhamdulillah, we have completed a few surahs now, and we are just starting the last 10, even though we go the other half, or more than a half, 3/4 of the Juzz left. From Amma yatasa'alun. But coming to this surah, أَلَمْ تَرَ كَيْفَ فَعَلَ رَبُّكَ بِأَصْحَابِ الْفِيلِ. In here, the main theme of the surah, which is, to put it in simple terms, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sufficient for looking after His deen. So He is sufficient for the protection of His deen. So this is basically the entire theme of the surah. In one of the places, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يُرِيدُونَ لِيُطْفِئُوا نُورَ اللَّهِ بِأَفْوَاهِهِمْ وَاللَّهُ مُتِمُّ نُورِهِ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْكَافِرُونَ. Now, to nearest meaning of the ayah, that these people wish to put the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala off with their mouths. And the ulama explain, I think Tafseer ibn Kathir, rahimahullah, where he says this is the example of people where they blow to the sun to try to blow it out. But this is not possible. Similarly, the haqq, no matter how much or how people propagate, how many people or how different lands and people stand up against Allah's deen, religion, His people, Allah will always come to their aid. So this is basically happening in this surah as well. And these last 10 surahs, where we most of us know it by heart as well. And the masajid, people who read the Taraweeh in this as well. Most of the kids learn it by heart as well. And according to ulama, that this portion of it is like mini Quran. If you were to understand these 10 surahs thoroughly, it is like you have understood the main aspects of the religion. So it talks about many of the fundamentals of Islam. For example, it talks about deen is, or Rabb is, what is worship, what is your bodily worship, your spending in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, tawheed, and so on. So all these main aspects have been talked and addressed in these few surahs. So they are very comprehensive in that manner. But now coming to the surah and what is has been talked about in here. The Ashab al-Fil, talking about the people of elephants. And there is a story, there's a long story, and it is from the history books. So there will be something that will not be right, but we will mention some of it, not the entire thing, otherwise it will become a story lesson instead of a tafsir lesson. But there was a king, they say it was a king in Yemen area, where he converted to become a Jew, and the people, his locality, they were Christians. So they link it with two different surahs. In وَالسَّمَاءِ ذَاتِ الْبُرُوجِ, there are people who were thrown in the pits of fire by this tyrant. So they link that surah with this surah. You are here, learners, yeah? I'll ask you questions, you are awake. So the people who were put in the pits of fire and the Ashab al-Fil, they link these two surahs together. This is one way of understanding, even though there are narrations, there are different narrations, but we're just going to put it together. His history, we're not going to know with certainty what they are anyway. But they say there was this king who became Jew. His people were Muslims at the time. As a Christian, that was their real religion at the time. So they were Muslim, they were obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as per the laws. He wanted his people to become Jew, and he did not appreciate them to remain in their faith. So he threatened them, and he digged these pits of fire, and he was throwing those people in it, whoever did not obey his commands, basically. And one of the guy, he escaped from there. His name was Daus, and he escaped. He went to Rome to Qaisar. The Qaisar is like the title of the king, and he complained that we are being persecuted because Rome, that was the Christian kingdom. So the Qaisar wrote to Najashi of Abyssinia to help out the guys. Yeah, this is not the Najashi who became Muslim. Yeah, this is like a long time ago. Again, it's a title. So he sends two generals to attack Yemen and take over or to help out the orphans, basically, to help out the weak, the orphans, help out the weak, the Christians that were getting persecuted. And there were two people that he sent as a general. One of them was Abraha and the other one was Riyadh. So these two generals were sent on a mission to take the people who are getting oppressed, to take them out from this issue. They went and they conquered the Yemen. Now they had issue with these two guys, yeah, because we can't have two kings. So they have a fight, sword fight. And Abraha kills Riyadh, and they say that Riyadh cut the lip and the nose of Abraha, so he was called Al-Ashram because of that. So he was known as Al-Ashram. So when Najashi finds out that Abraha has killed one of the general, so he is not happy. In order to please Najashi, he builds a church. Yeah, this is from the history, and the ulama takes in that fashion. He builds a huge church known as Qaylus or Qullais, sorry. And this big temple that he builds for the Christian and so on, just to please the king and so on. And he wants to attract all the people to come to this big building, this amazing cathedral that he has built, instead of them going to Kaaba, instead of them going to Mecca. So he wants people to go there for whatever reason. One of the reasons is because they will bring financial stability. Because previously Yemen was the center, the hub of the business, but then taken over by Kaaba, the Meccans. So he wants that glory to come back to his lands. And this does not work because people are going there for religious purposes. They're not going there as a attraction. Yeah, they're not tourists. They are going there as a religious. So they have this attraction to the Kaaba, and then continues to go, and his plans failed. So now he needs to find a way in order to dishonor Kaaba and get people to come to Al-Qullais. So they say when the Meccans found out that he has built this Qullais in a competition with the Kaaba, some of the youngsters, they went and they urinated in the Qullais, or some say they put fire to it, and there are different narrations that have come with it. However, if you were to ponder over the psychology of the tyrants and the leaders of that time and now, I don't mention stories just so you can get entertained. There's a purpose I have mentioned here. At that time and now, they have same way of thinking. The criminals, they have this. In order to incite the people, he needs to do something to get the people behind him so he can go. So he needs to find a purpose. So the ulama say, instead of saying that the Arabs did it, he maybe send some people from his own, he may have had these special people just to do this job, so he can put it against the Meccans that they did it. So he wanted to find some sort of bad name for them in order to attack. So he was successful in this, and now he got a letter and he can got the backing up from his army, as his people, and Najashi and so on, because now, according to them, the Meccans, the people of the Kaaba, have disrespected the religion of Najashi and the people of Yemen. So he wants to, and he starts on this mission to go and destroy Kaaba, basically. So he sets out, and on the way, the Arabs, there comes in the history that they attack and they try to stop. But of course, this is a huge army. They know how the things work. In Arab, they have never fought these kind of armies, and they say there were like more than 60,000 people that were going to attack the Kaaba. On the way until they reach Thaqif, and so he continued his journey. And there is one tribe that is known as Thaqif, and their statue, Lat, it was in Thaqif. It was not in Kaaba. While everyone else's statues that were on the way, they were in Kaaba. So either they were protecting it for their own honor, or at least protected it because they're going to be attacking their god, basically. So that was the psychology. However, the Thaqif, their god is in, it was in with them. So instead of them fighting them, they seek to protect themselves. So they went clever way according to their way, and they even gave them a guide. So they now have a tom-tom, and the guy name was Abu Rigal. So he became his tom-tom. And Qurtubi brings some sha'air with regards to the guy. This guy was so hated in the society that people used to stone his grave. So Qurtubi says, وَأَرْجُمُ قَبْرَهُ فِي كُلِّ عَامٍ كَرَجْمِ النَّاسِ قَبْرَ أَبِي رِغَالٍ. And I stone his grave every year as people stone the grave of Abu Rigal. So this how much it was hated, this action basically. So they really honored Kaaba, and this is the reason. Yeah, remember these when I emphasis on something, because this will be coming. This will explain what we're talking about in these two surahs. So they had amazing honor in their heart for Kaaba. So whoever went against it, whether it was Abraha, whether it was Abu Thaqif, or whether it was this Abu Rigal, they hated that to such an extent that they used to stone the grave. So the guy continues till it's just before he attacks the Kaaba, and he is about 3 miles or so away from the place to attack. And Abu Muttalib, Abdul Muttalib, he goes there, the granddad of Rasulullah, to meet the guy and speak to him, and there's big narrations and so on. But he does not listen, and he wants to attack. So Abdul Muttalib comes back and he grabs the thing of Kaaba and he makes dua. And his ash'ar comes in the poetry, and there is a reason for that as well. He says, يا رب لا أرجو لهم سواك يا رب فامنع منهم حماك إن عدو البيت من عاداك إنهم لن يقرأه قواك. O Lord, I hope for nothing but you from them. O Lord, prevent them from sacking. The enemy of the house is those who oppose you. They will not subdue your forces. This shows complete tawheed. They believed in the religion of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And at times of difficulties, where did they turn to? Only Allah. Instead of their gods, even though there are so many around, but who did he call to? To Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there are other poetry that comes with regards to it. So anyway, so Abraha, so Abdul Muttalib, he tries his best to stop Abraha, but he does not, and he commences his journey toward the Kaaba to destroy. And we will do the surah. But however, what do we learn from this surah? What does it relate to us? Because talking about this criminal who is about to attack Kaaba, what is it for us in this? One of those lessons that we can take is, because this is the sha'air of Allah, this is the symbol that represent Islam, yeah, the Kaaba. So similarly, if when you see on Facebook or YouTube or anywhere where the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are disrespected, you like it, you make it as a joke, you make it as a meme or whatever, you appreciate in whatsoever way, you are kind of helping those criminals. Like people make jokes out of ladies who's wearing a hijab, yeah, like they say post something, or yeah, the guy who made thing, or those people who make fun of beards or whatever, they have these pictures that they make on social media and so on. So it relates to us. So anyone who mocks or who stands up against the sha'air of Allah and you help them out in that fashion, you are part of it. So we need to be really careful with that. In the previous surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give takhwifi ukhrawiya, the fear of akhirah, that the fire of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala awaits these criminals who do not take heed and they still continue to be rebellious. And in here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives takhwif dunyawi, that the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not only limited to akhirah. In this dunya I will come against the criminals. And do not think that it has to be some sort of stones falling from the sky, or it has to be some fire that will come from the above. Okay, it's not going to be, do not think in that way. We are still going through so many issues. These inflation that we get, the things that become less, the floods that we see, the quakes that we see oftenly. Look at our situation back home. People are going through poverty. Why? These are all sorts of punishments. These are all some sort of adab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of our sins, because of the corruption that we are doing. So the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will come in this dunya against the criminals as well as in akhirah, but in akhirah is complete and is in full way. In the previous surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the people who were haughty, people show arrogance because of the wealth that they had. Yeah, this is what it's talking about. The يَحْسَبُ أَنَّ مَا لَهُ أَخْلَدَ. They consider their will to be everything. This is what they're carrying. And in here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the might, the political power. So one is wealth, the other one is political. So no matter which way or how you seen as a mighty in the world, if you are against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you don't have any value whatsoever. In the Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, in the name of Allah, from whose qudra, capacity, the people of field, the people of might cannot escape. Ar-Rahman, the entirely merciful, His mercy is for both those who does justice and those who fight. Ar-Rahim, the especially merciful, He has withheld the hands of enemy from His house. أَلَمْ تَرَ كَيْفَ فَعَلَ رَبُّكَ بِأَصْحَابِ الْفِيلِ. Have you not considered, in brackets, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how your Lord dealt with the companions of the elephants? So as we said, this surah is a threat, this surah is a lesson for all the tyrants to take heed, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need to bring huge armies, or He does not need to build something against you. From tiny things Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take the work. Yeah, we can even take example of the coronavirus. Yeah, what was it? Nothing. Yeah, it was minute. But how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought down big nations with it, that all people had to lock down. Yeah, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need to bring some sort of huge things in order to defeat the enemy, in order to bring people down. Alam tara is to say, have you seen? Yeah, tara. But in here is, they say, is more of in a figurative speech. Yeah, so it's more to like, have you considered? Don't you find it amazing? In that kind of fashion. Like how, if we said, yeah, there were like 60,000 according to the historian army that came in, but even the entire population of the Meccans at the time around, they could not reach that. I think it comes in when they were attacking Medina, Ahzab. There were around 12,000 or so people. Like so many people came together, but they still could gather those few thousand. So imagine at that time when they were like kind of scattered, they didn't had that many plans against, or they hadn't really fought anything. They had these little fights, but not on a big scale. What could they do? Look at the might and the strategies of Abraha, who has just recently conquered Yemen, and he has these many people. They couldn't do anything. Yeah, so they were entirely hopeless against the might of Abraha. And there is a lesson in it, like how Abraha is strong and you were weak, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave victory to his house. Similarly, O Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, you might be weak in number, you have very few Sahaba. These Quraysh, they are strong, mighty, everyone are praising them, everyone to be on their side and so on. But no, the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with those who are true to Allah. The numbers, the big, whatever they have, it does not matter. Allah will bring them down. Like how He brought down Abraha against his house. Similarly, He will bring down these Quraysh, these big guys against you, O Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, your Rabb, O Rasul. So it shows that Allah is on Rasul's side, not on these people's side. Like even though it's talking about the honor of the Quraysh, that Allah gave them honor, but who gave them honor is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying to Rasulullah, your Rabb, meaning he is on your side, the one who defeated Abraha, who gave honor to these people. Similarly, he will give you honor and defeat these people. So I hope that point makes sense. And by saying Ashab al-Fil, ulama say why they have been called the people of elephants. There are various opinions, but just to say one, you normally attribute, you call someone the companion of something when they are superior. Like we say, Ashab Rasul, the companions of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Why? Because Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam is superior than the Sahaba. Similarly, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying Ashab al-Fil, mean this fil, this elephant is more superior, this animal is more superior than those people who came out to destroy the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And ulama mentioned that why? Because you see, in our aqidah, the worst of the crime is that you associate partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is nothing worse in our aqidah, yeah? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives everything except inna Allah la yaghfiru an yushraka bihi wa yaghfiru ma duna dhalika liman yasha. He forgives everything except shirk. So meaning shirk is the worst of the crime. These Makkans, they had so many statues, over 300, yeah, 360 or so. They had that many statues, but the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not came in like how it came on the Abraha. So the ulama say because that was huququllah. That was the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they were breaking. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala delay his punishment for that. And when he grabs hold of them, which is in akhirah, is severe. But when it comes to huquq al-ibad, the rights of the people, because this house, this is a hope for the people. People come from far away just to be relieved from the burden and so on. So this is huquq al-ibad. These masajid that they are built, or these madaris, yeah, they are the rights of the people. They get educated, they get the information. So now if you were to cause any damage to that, that is more severe than if you were to do sins that are hiddenly, that's against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The wrath of Allah may not come on those kind of people, but the punishment, or like jihad, yeah. In what circumstances jihad meant to be done? When someone do not believe in Allah, or when someone causes problem to those people who believe in Allah. It is when people cause hindrance, people stand up against the religion of Allah, that's when jihad comes in. Is to make path easy for the people, those who believe. You do not bring people to the Islam by force, la ikraha fi din, but it is to remove the hurdles from the way. So even jihad is for huquq al-ibad. I hope that point makes sense. So this the ulama gives us their opinion. أَلَمْ يَجْعَلْ كَيْدَهُمْ فِي تَضْلِيلٍ. Did he not make their plan into misguidance? أَلَمْ يَجْعَلْ by saying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala completely made the effort fruitless and in last minute. And ulama gives example. When you have planned everything and then it suddenly changes. For example, you are about to go to Afghanistan or Pakistan or somewhere, and you have packed your bags and everything, and you reach airport and then says flight is cancelled. Let's say go home. It's a different case, yeah. Or if someone tells you, or you cannot buy your ticket, or you cannot get visa and so on. This is at the early stages, yeah. You don't really feel that much, but if you are sent from the airport where you have said salam to everyone as well, and then they are waiting for you, so this is a different situation. Or take example of a dog, yeah, who is put on, like say, 1 foot leash in the middle of a field, and he runs, he'll be grabbed by it, yeah. So he feels the pain on his neck, so he little run and then he comes back. However, if you were to put him like 50 or 40 foot leash, yeah, and it's in the middle of the ground, the dog will be racing and racing, thinking he escaped, yeah. And at the end, when he feels that jerk, you will be on a different level, yeah. You'll be like you were flying around. So same thing, this Abraha, who did all those plots, he came all the way to Kaaba, he reached there, and there his plans were destroyed. So this is that kind of a dog who is a bad dog, yeah? And he does this and then he is destroyed. So same thing, أَلَمْ يَجْعَلْ كَيْدَهُمْ فِي تَضْلِيلٍ. His entire plans were put into misguidance. He could not get anything from it. And same example Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses in the Quran, وَيَمُدُّهُمْ فِي طُغْيَانِهِمْ يَعْمَهُونَ, leaving them to wander blindly on their rebellions. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grabs them, it's going to be a different case. And now why is it said kaid? Because kaid is done normally hidden. Yeah, the plan, the evil plan people do is normally done hidden. But what is so hidden about Abraha? He goes 60,000 people last coming. It's all open. People know about it. Yeah, people are standing in front of it. It's not like it's a small caravan or small few horses that's going to attack during the night that you're not going to know about it. So what is so hidden behind this plan of Abraha? So Ulama gives various opinions. One is this guy had deep hatred because they were mushriks, or because they were getting all the wealth, financial stability, even though he has built this big utilise and no one is coming there. So he had this special hatred. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings informs the situation of some of the criminals against Muslims. وَمَا تُخْفِي صُدُورُهُمْ أَكْبَرُ, and what their breast conceal is greater. Okay, so they might be smiling, they might be doing everything, but what internally they have is on far different level, how much they hate you. And another, which is more, I think it touches heart, it is that this person, or like nowadays, when a country wants to attack a certain country, or a leader wants to achieve something, yeah, hidden agenda basically he has, then he will sugarcoat it with other things. So at that time, the religion ruled over the people's heart. So he used the religion as a brush to paint his actual goal, which was to get the financial stability for his country. So people can head over to Yemen instead of going to Kaaba. So this was hidden behind the agenda. Like nowadays, we gave example of this, yeah? People will attack countries thinking to bring peace and security. They are worried about, they're like these peace dove, yeah? But in reality, they are going there for the position, going there for the oil, going there for different reasons, yeah? So same thing, they said it was the plan of Abraha. And same thing is happening to Quraysh. Like they did not believe in these statues that they are the actual gods. Yeah, they believe them that we are too napak, yeah, we go to their assistance and then they help us out. And what did Abdul Muttalib do? He went to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or as you come in a Surah, you will be able to know in a very hadith that these people turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during calamity. There are many ayats in the Quran that when huge calamity comes in, they go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you to ask Him who created the earth and the sky, you and so on, they will say Allah. So they believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But in reality, they had this hidden agenda that they wanted financial stability. They wanted people to come. So they had these goals of different tribes and clans that they used to come and they used to keep them there as well. And for that, when they used to travel during the lands and so on, they used to get special privilege. Like nowadays, the peers and these mulvis and so on, they received these special privileges because of what they are. Yeah, they misuse and they misguide people. They do not inform them of things. So same thing they did. They did. Yeah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings their fake shock in the Quran basically. أَجَعَلَ آلِهَةَ إِلَهُ وَاحِدًا إِنَّ هَذَا لَشَيْءٌ عُجَابٌ. Has He made the gods only one God? Indeed, this is a curious thing. So this is, they claim basically on the outer. However, I think the ayah will come later on. They said to nearest meaning, if you were to follow your guidance, we will be swiped out from the lands. Meaning this financial stability that we have now, if you were to worship just one God, then it will going to be very few people that will be worshipping here. Those people who worship the statues and so on, they will be removed. They will just keep it in their own tribe and so on. They will just not come here. So their main agenda, their main plot in this behavior was that they can attract people to come to Kaaba so they can have financial stability. So by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioning the kaid of Abraha, that is called as an evil hidden plot, by saying that what you have in your heart, this is like a poke to the Quraysh as well, that you have this hidden agenda, that you have these statues, not because you really believe in them as a gods, but you believe you only do it for your financial stability and so on. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala going to destroy that. We will come to you come to public. Ayah number 3. وَأَرْسَلَ عَلَيْهِمْ طَيْرًا أَبَابِيلَ, and he sent against them birds in flocks. Now in here, like your strength is nothing. You cannot do anything against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying وَأَرْسَلَ عَلَيْهِمْ, on them, this is like a punishment. Instead of saying إِلَى, like وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا إِلَى فِرْعَوْنَ, like Musa alayhi salam was sent to Fir'aun, this was a mercy. But in here is a punishment. The wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the way He destroy His people, destroy the criminals, it does not requires much preparation, like how Abraha had to do, how he had to gather all these plans and things like that through processes, travels and so on. All these he need to look after. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need to do that. He will use harmless things in your eyes as something lethal against you. And there are opinions whether there are various opinions with regards to these ayats, but we will leave it, otherwise it will cause you a bit of headache. Going to the next ayah. تَرْمِيهِمْ بِحِجَارَةٍ مِّن سِجِّيلٍ, striking them with stones of hard clay. So they say, what is this hard clay? Basically, you know, when you might have seen it in Pakistan and those areas. I'm not sure if they have it in here. But when the sand becomes the sands become, when the water hits it and the sands become burned by the sun, and it becomes hard rocks. So this is what they're talking about, that these rocks were used by these birds and they dropped it on these criminals and they were destroyed by it. And there are other opinions that these birds were sent after they were destroyed and they feasted on top of their bodies. Various opinions. Okay. Ayah number 5. فَجَعَلَهُمْ كَعَصْفٍ مَأْكُولٍ, and he made them like eaten straw. So there are various opinions with regards to this as well. What is ka'asf? Asf, basically, this is like, you know, when we have paliya, these nuts, and when you do this to it, and then it has these, what they call it, the leaf of it. You do that and it flies off. So that thing which flies off is the asf that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is referring to according to one opinion. And of them is that these elephants, they stamped over these dead bodies and they became flat on the earth, so they could do nothing. This is one. And the other is that, like how the things are eaten, the straws, and then it comes out of the other side, yeah? That's how they became, meaning they stepped over it and they start stinking. So this was the situation of those criminals, because they stood up against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Allah humiliated them. Now just linking the beginning and the ending, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked the question at the beginning, Alam tara kayfa fa'ala rabbuka, how he did it. Yeah, and at the end you are informed. That's how he did it. At the beginning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave this elevated, this is elevated way as well, that these are the people of elephants, or these are the people of tanks, these are the people of this army and so on, So this is one way of looking at it as well. They have been given this elevated status, and in here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala disgraced them, that they became nothing, worthless whatsoever. Surah Quraysh, the majority of the people say that it is a Makki surah, even though there is, I think, an opinion of a Madani, which is, they have their own reasons, but I think majority are Makki, so we'll make it as a Makki. And this is the only surah where a tribe of Arab has been mentioned, which is the Quraysh. Why they call Quraysh? There are opinions and there is history. If you were to do that, it will be just history again. So they say this is like the 10th granddad of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Fihr, who was known as Quraysh, or the others say that it was the 12th granddad of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Nadhr bin Kinana, who was known as Quraysh. So they were the nickname of them. But whatever were the thing, they say Quraysh is like something in the sea that he eats and it's not eaten, Yeah, so they gave that to the Quraysh and so on. It's because of the tijara and business. They go various different opinions why they call Quraysh, but that's not relevant to us, and we don't really have any concern why they call Quraysh. But this is just history. One thing we need to understand that Quraysh, before even the thing that happened in the previous surah, before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala safeguarded them from the wrath of Abraha, they were elevated people, they were honored. They were those people who used to travel in the lands. However, after this incident that happened, they reached new heights. So this, some ulama links Alam tara kayf fa'ala rabbuka bi ashabil fil with the ila fi Quraysh. So we will mention that later on. What is the purpose? What is the main agenda? What is the maqsad of the surah? In here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informs these people that, oh, the people who consider you consider yourself to be the custodian of the Kaaba, you have been given so many blessings and so on. So what it should have done is that you should have now been sincere to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You should have become grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But instead of you concentrating on Allah, the one who gave you all these favors, yeah, you started chasing a different object, which was the wealth, which was your travels in the land, your tijara and business. So meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is basically calling those people to their senses. And one point I meant to mention, till وَيْلٌ لِكُلِّ هُمَزَةٍ, till here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks in a general tone. He's speaking to everyone. But sometimes people do not get the message. Like you might be talking in the class saying, oh, so many people come late to class. They don't attend on time and this and this and this. And the guy who comes late, even though he knows that I'm talking about him, but a few of them, they'll be thinking, you know, maybe he's talking about some different classes or something like that. But if I was to mention their name that I'm talking about, then the guy will get the message. The same thing has happened, because the first audience at the time were the Quraysh, were these people, Quraysh and the Arabs. So Allah subhanahu has been speaking to them like in third thing. But now their name has been mentioned, their clan has been mentioned, that Allah subhanahu is talking to you, come to your senses, where have you gone? Like the previous surah, Allah subhanahu talks about how they are distracted from their purpose. They don't even take heed from their own animals. They fulfill their purpose like in Al-Adiyat we did, and they have completely neglected their purpose. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here calls them directly. And in here by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroying the Abraha, he has set a stage for Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam to come. Because just imagine, if the Kaaba were to be destroyed, or if Abraha was to become successful, this honor the Quraysh had would have been gone. Now they have received more honor. So anyone who comes from that kind of locality, they will be specially honored. They were honored to such an extent, just to take an example, yeah. This is related to the surah, that when they used to travel, they were completely safeguarded, yeah. They did not want to touch them because they understood what has happened to those people who attacked them, yeah. They know the story of Abraham. Or another way, if it was before the attack, it would be related to their gods being in Kaaba. If they were to harm the Quraysh, they would go and maybe hit their god, yeah, the statue. So they wouldn't like that, yeah. Or they will throw the statue out of from the Kaaba, then the clan would get disgraced because their God is no more in Kaaba, yeah. So because of that fear, they did not touch them. But after this incident happened, ulama say that forget them being attacked. They used to travel the way they wanted to travel. If they were used to vouch for someone, yeah, that I have been vouched by these harami, that's it. He was safeguarded. No one used to touch them. So this is how much honor these people had after especially this incident happened. So the stage has been set. And by that, because what you need to understand, these are the very people who will be conquering the world. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing to them that the mightiest of the people around their peninsula, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed them in front of their eyes. So the ru'ub and the khawf, the fear that they would have against these big guys, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removed it from their heart. They will be narrating these stories to each other and they will be boasting about it and so on. So that fear against big armies or big kings and so on have been removed by this. So it's a beautiful stage that has been set for Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam to start his mission. Now linking with the previous surah, the previous surah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about safety, and in here is prosperity. In land, if you want to have a good land, yeah, or any land that you want to prosper, it has to have these two things minimum, is safety and wealth, prosperity. Imagine your situation in a personal level, yeah. You are a very rich guy. You go back to your land, Somalia, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and so on, very rich, but there is no safety. You'll be scared, yeah, that maybe someone will come to my house and they'll rob me, or maybe I'm driving in my Mercedes and someone will stop me with a gun, and that's it, I'm gone. Yeah, that's the problem. And in the other way around, if you don't have, maybe you have amazing safety, police, army, and everyone around you, but you don't have anything to eat, it's not going to, the country is not going to run. So these two are needed. So peace has been talked about in Alam Tara Kaifa, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them peace. And in here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about prosperity, that they could do tijara, they could do all sorts of things, and Allah made paths easy for them. And in the previous surah, Allah removed an affliction from them, yes? A calamity was removed from them. And what is the response of that? That you become thankful. You say thank you to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, basically, yeah? And what is the best thanks to Allah? Is that you have tawheed, is that you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely. Whenever He orders you something, that becomes your way of life. So this, both surah links in that fashion. Your affliction has been removed. This should have encouraged you to have فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ. You should have worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala completely, sincerely. And there are many others, but inshallah, when we finish these 10 surahs, there is two interesting ways we want to link, if Allah gives us the opportunity. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the all knowledgeable, Al-Alim, the provider of provision, Ar-Razaq, Ar-Rahman, the entirely merciful. He has safeguarded the people of Haram from hunger and warfare. Ar-Rahim, the especially merciful. Muwahideen has been specially given continuous blessings. لِإِيلَافِ قُرَيْشٍ, for the accustomed security of the Quraysh. One of the Mufassir of the Quran was listening to him recently, Aminullah Peshawari. He gives a beautiful way of explanation. So he says it is ta'ajjub on the love of Quraysh that they have. Then he sees the next ayah, why they have this ta'ajjub, why they are a wonder. Wonder is at their love, the love of Quraysh. For what? Is that they have it for these journeys that they have it, meaning this business plan that they have. But other ulama, they link it with the previous surah. لِإِيلَافِ قُرَيْشٍ, for the accustomed security of the Quraysh. What was for the accustomed security of the Quraysh? They say the destruction of the Ashab al-Fil, the people of the elephants, the Abraha. So both ways, previous surah, or I think it's better that it is included with this, the first surah, which is the security that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to Quraysh, yeah, and they did, and whatever they did, of the best of the security, of the best of rahmah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to Quraysh at that time, was that they could travel around the lands without any problem whatsoever. Like it comes in Quran, أَوَلَمْ يَرَوْا أَنَّا جَعَلْ أَوَلَمْ يَرَوْا أَنَّا, it comes, we think we read this ayah, maybe we'll come later on, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talk about this situation of the people at the time, where people used to get snatched away around them, and Allah gave them peace. They could travel around the land and nothing would happen to them whatsoever. Now, لِإِيلَافِ قُرَيْشٍ, there are two ways of understanding. Oh, subhanAllah, we don't have time, so we leave that. We'll go to the next ayah. إِيلَافِهِمْ رِحْلَةَ الشِّتَاءِ وَالصَّيْفِ, secure in their trading caravans in the winter and summer. So in the winter they used to go to Yemen, and in the summer they used to go to Syria, to Sham. Because even you may have seen in winter, if you look at the Sham, it's full of ice and so on, so that's not a good place to go. So it's only wise that they go there in summer, which is nice weather. So they used to travel to there, and in the winter they used to go to Yemen. So they used to travel throughout the year basically. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying rihla, meaning one journey is talking about, while there is two journeys, yeah? One is to Yemen, one is to Syria. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says one, the ulama gives various opinions. It is because they didn't even had to change. They had the same people, same caravan, same thing, going there and continually seeing same people, same thing. So it's called like it's a one journey. Or the other is that it was continuous. From Mecca to Yemen, then Yemen to Mecca, Mecca to Syria, and continues in that fashion. So it was like one journey going from one place to another to another. So they continuously throughout the year they were just moving around. And by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying rihla, this is, they say it is used that these people were loaded with materials. Yeah, so if it is like nowadays, or especially in Afghanistan or Pakistan, it is like seeing a caravan full of wheat, yeah, or oil, and they just standard on the street, and there may be one poor guy is running, walking with it. It's not going to be a happy situation for those poor people who need the stuff, yeah. They are going through a lot of poverty. So when they see that, it's going to be a different situation. However, those people, they would carry big caravans full of these amazing materials, whatever they wanted to do, and no one used to touch them. They feared. They had this fear that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wrath will come on them, or because of their gods that are in Kaaba, they will be removed by these people. And there is even technical words that we could have explored, that why rihla, why the winter has been used first and then the other one, and so on, but we don't have time. فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ. And one point I want to mention, that these people, they were like brands, yeah, because of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honored them because of this house. They were known as haramiyun, yeah. So all their wealth, it was protected, and when people used to buy from it, they used to buy it with like a brand. How you buy a Nike, you buy, I don't have even the names of, yeah, Slazenger, yeah, Puma, whatever you call them. They know what the value is, yeah. So this guy might be, what's the best brand, yeah. That kind of brand, people know. It's like buying an Apple, yeah, instead of buying Samsung or whatever. So they knew what the brand is. So they used to hurry for it, like how you see big queues, yeah. And they used to buy it with honor, and they did not plan to cheat them whatsoever when they were selling to them, because they were the branded people. If they say anything evil about them, that these people are not good, their entire business is gone. Like nowadays, you put any evil review or bad review on a small business, they are destroyed, yeah. Same thing. So they didn't want to play around with them. So this is of the honors that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to them. What should this have encouraged basically? All these blessings. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning these things? Or when we mention the blessing Allah has given to us, that He has given us all these blessings. If you were to ponder over your life, and then just ponder over, go to a hospital, just put one of these lands that are getting, yeah, they're going through poverty. Just look at their situation and then look at your own life. When you have these blessings, what should they encourage you? What should you do? فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ. Let them worship the Lord of this house. Because of this very house, you have received these blessings. Because of this very Quran, like, yeah, these ulama, these muftis and so on, because of this very Quran, people honor them, people respect them, people call them to their house for food and so on. So what should encourage them? Should they just enjoy it and misuse the Quran, sell the Quran? Or should they become more sincere? They should give more devotion. They should work more harder for the sake of Allah, instead of different purposes that so many people are doing. So this is the same situation. The thing which is giving you honor, you should honor that in that fashion. You should not misuse it. So same thing, these people are misusing the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for their own purposes. And another thing, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying, فَلْيَعْبُدُوا, worship. Instead of saying فَلْيَشْكُرُوا, because this is being thankful. Why is it saying worship? Because it's talking about the blessing previously. The best shukr, the only shukr, the thank for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala you can do is to worship. Anishkurli, or is it come in Quran? اعملوا آل داود شكرا. And work you, O family of Dawood, with thanks. This is not just saying thanks Allah, thanks Allah, thanks Allah, and you carry on. It is to worship Allah. It is bring His rules in your life. Whatever He has sent from in Quran, you follow that. you follow the footsteps of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. These are the actual thanks of you to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is to worship. It is no, you cannot say Jazakallah Allah, yeah? This is not how it works. الذي أطعمهم من جوع وآمنهم من خوف, who has fed them from hunger and made them safe from fear. In this area, this Mecca, where there is no agricultural lands, where it's dry, even if you were to travel now, yeah, look, you come out from this city, you look at all desert, yeah, all black rocks over there, yeah, there's like nothing you can grow. Poverty over there is 100%. And when there is poverty, there cannot be safety. So all that was 100%. From this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removed you. Allah gave you all these blessings where your doom was certain. Yeah, so this should encourage us more. When you are going through difficulties, when you are going through massive issues, and then you are removed and you see a light, doesn't it encourages you to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more? Even the criminals, the worst of the criminals, when the aeroplane is about to drop, yeah, and then is stable, he says, thank God, yeah. Even those guys, they thanks God. These people, yeah, they are seeing the house of Allah. They have seen the blessing that Allah has given. They have seen that Allah protected that house. They have seen all those things. They know it. It is in their history. It is in their forefathers' life. Yeah. But still they do not come to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How sad is their situation? Or how sad is the situation of these knowledgeable people who have seen, who have understood what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about and what their responsibilities are with this knowledge that they have. But they still misuse it, they still misguide people. A person will come to him and he will say, can I wear this ta'weez and this and this and this? But he knows that if I say no, the next time he's not coming to me to write him a ta'weez and so on. So he says, hey, it's fine, it's okay, yeah, and so on. So he will just ignore it. He will not care about it. He's not worried that he's going to be answering to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but he's worried for his own pocket or what people are going to say around. So it is a sad situation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings to light. And again, we have missed so many things, but unfortunately we do not have time. But just one thing, that the next surah that's coming along, this might be like your homework. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them all these blessings, and Allah calls them to ibadah, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, did they take any heed? Did they understood? Did they align themselves with the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or not? Or what was their response? This is what you find out in the next surah, أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ. Linking the beginning and the ending. The security has been mentioned at the beginning. لِإِلَافِ قُرَيْشٍ. And at the end, the prosperity have been mentioned as well. And between those two, لِإِلَافِ قُرَيْشٍ إِلَافِهِمْ رِحْلَةً, because this is one ayah basically, yeah. And the middle ayah, which is فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you this peace and Allah gave you this prosperity, yeah. What it should have result, what in this between the lines basically, you should have read something, yeah. It is worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So one surah beautifully coherent together. Of course, we didn't had much time to explain it properly. So may Allah forgive our shortcomings and accept the goods from us, mashallah. A lot of you came in. May Allah honor you. May Allah keep you with the Quran. Jazakallah khair.